Welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and what a delight to have back with us today Doug Giles. He's the founder and the editor of ClashDaily.com. He's authored a couple of great books. You got to get these: Raising Righteous and Rowdy Girls and Raising Boys Feminists Will Hate. Now, there's two books you got to get. There you go. There's some pictures there on the screen. Check that out at the bookstores, online at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and also over at Evangel and Christian Discount Books. And we have a lot to talk to him about today because he does a lot of things. Hi, Doug. Good to see you, friend.
Harry, how you doing, big dog?
Good. Good to see you, man. Hey, listen, quite a few things I want to get to you about, but first, let's talk about this Hillary mess. I was reading some stuff again last night, and this thing is beyond serious. Will it get her, you think?
I don't know, man. She's got an amazing way, Perry, to skate through the most apocalyptic crud storms known to mankind, her and her husband, Bill. This might be the thing that gigs her, because this thing called, what's the word I'm looking for? Trust, in regards to Hillary telling the truth, which I believe your Christian audience are still into this thing called truth. And they don't like to be lied to repeatedly over and over and over, like Hillary's doing with Emailgate. I think this this little ditty where Hillary is, how can I put this kindly, being less than truthful with us. I think it's causing her to sink. Excuse me. And the polls are showing that people don't trust this chick anymore.
Yeah, the poll this morning showed that her favorability has declined to 45% and her unfavorability has increased to 53%. She's below the water now. Yeah,
and those polls, the Monmouth polls, probably just being nice to her. I think it's far worse. Here's Hillary. She's like, I didn't send or receive any classified data on my email server that was kept in a bathroom in Denver. And then lo and behold, Perry, they find out that, the State Department finds out that she had at least 189, and all the other emails that are coming forth are heavily redacted. And she looked us in the camera, in the face, at the UN and at another press conference and said that there were no classified emails sent via my server. It's just a lie, man. And I don't know how any Christian that's worth their salt can look at Hillary Clinton being a supporter of Planned Parenthood, the ghoulish organization that sells baby parts that they've aborted. I don't know how they could look at Hillary as a Christian and be cool with her gay marriage. And I especially don't know her support of gay marriage. And I especially don't know, Perry, how they can look at this woman who lies to our face and then still think, you know what? I'm thinking about Hillary for 2016.
All right, let's unpack this a little bit, Doug. Real simple. Taking government emails and putting them on a private server broke the law.
Right.
Taking those emails and then moving them from your private server back into the government system breaks the law. She's modified the word classified at the top of some of these emails.
Right.
Come on. People go to jail for this. They go to prison for this. They get deranked in the military for this. And she now is above all of this?
Yeah, ask David Petraeus what happened to him for a lesser egregious crime when he gave classified information to his, at that time, his lover. But here's Hillary. She's like, well, I didn't know it was wrong. I'm just an old woman. I don't understand this email thing. And for people to look at her and in the list that you just went through, Perry, for people to look at her, especially Christians, and still think, I'm actually going to consider voting for this lady who's lying to our face. Look, when Bill said I didn't have sex with that woman, and then all of a sudden, lo and behold, he did have sex with Monica Lewinsky. Bill had this thing called charisma and charm that he could pawn off on, chuckleheads that would overlook his sin just because he's charming. Hillary, when she says, I didn't have any kind of classified information on my email servers and I didn't send anything classified on my private server, she doesn't have the charm to fall back on. Perry, she's got all the charm of a waffle skillet. And you know what? I think the people and the polls are starting to look at her with a jaundiced eye, and this could be her swan song. However, just like I said in our last interview, there's this thing inside of me, man, who looks at the Clinton machine and how they steamroll over people and controversies and land on their feet. I wouldn't be surprised if some idiots in Obama land decide that they're going to put her in the Oval Office behind that desk at 1600 Penn Ave. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. And always, always keep in mind voter fraud registration and voter fraud that goes down.
Yeah, that's certainly going to get back into the circulation here. But she tried a couple of things trying to keep Joe Biden out of the race. He is now making the tour a little bit. He's poking his toe in the water. It's rumored that he'll come flying out of the gates, maybe even with a ticket announced with Elizabeth Warren. She tried to derail that by saying that she had all of the delegate votes needed to get the nomination. That went nowhere. She's got to be worried he's getting in.
Can you imagine, Perry, if Uncle Joe Biden actually became Hillary's replacement killer in the 2016 election? If I was a liberal, and I'm not, I'm very conservative, obviously, I would be so sad and so sickened that the two champions of liberal ideology that I'm looking to saddle this nation and take me into a socialist wonderland are deduced down to Joe the Gaffmeister Biden, who is incredibly nutty, and Hillary Rodham Clinton. And oh, I forgot one more, Perry. And then the strident socialist, at least he's upfront about it, Bernie Sanders. It's a bad day if you're a Democrat and you got those three stooges that you got to choose from to be president of the United States and hold the highest office on this planet. It's pathetic. And to think that Donald Trump, even though I love what Trump is doing because I view him as John the Baptist with an ugly toupee, rather, Donald Trump being the answer to the Hillary Biden Bernie Sanders equation. I don't know what it's saying from a prophetic standpoint, but we could be in for some rough times the next 100 years.
It's been asked the question, what's the difference between a socialist and a Democrat? That's got to be the question they don't want popping up. But man, that's got to be the classic question of the day to a Democrat. What's the difference between a socialist and a Democrat?
Yeah, and you saw Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I mean, Chris Matthews held her down on the carpet. And she didn't know how to answer it. To me, there is no difference, Perry. I can't see any difference between a Democrat and a socialist at all, whatsoever. Maybe the Democrats, maybe some of the older Democrats that are watching us right now, there was a big difference 40 years ago. But the socialists that are, or the Democrats that are currently on the ticket, these guys are dying the wool socialists. And like Bernie Sanders, or like I said about Bernie Sanders, I appreciate that he's upfront about it. Hillary's trying to mask her socialism. Look, these people want to redistribute wealth. They want to redistribute power. They're big government goons. They think we're goobers that don't know diddly squat about how to handle our own personal lives and our affairs. They're anti-constitutional, anti-Bill of Rights. And you see this every time they get up and open their lying mouth like Hillary does. And the Democrats from the 1960s, those folks were, we might have had some political differences, but they weren't the strident Euro-socialists that Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, and Joe Biden are.
What's your take on Trump before we take a break?
Perry, I like what he's doing. I like that he's not PC. I like that he's not beholden to special interest groups and lobbyists. And, is he a policy wonk? Is he this incredible Oz Guinness-like mind when it comes to what we need to do for the public from a philosophical standpoint? No. Does he like America? And is he sick of the fetid swamp, which is also known as Washington, D.C.? Absolutely. And he's not afraid to offend whomever needs to be offended. So I like it. I think 2016 is one of the most interesting races I've seen in a long, long time, man.
All right. It's been said that if Biden gets in, he may come out early with Elizabeth Warren as his running mate, which could force then the Republicans to look for an early running team. And the first indication of that we've seen is Trump and Cruz coming up next week, basically filibustering, so to speak, the Iran deal. Do you think that will happen?
Them filibustering the deal or Trump and Cruz ticket?
Both.
Yeah, I hope they filibuster the Iran deal, because that's no deal at all. When you got Ayatollahs standing up in pulpits with AK-47s that are in line to receive $150 billion from Obama's nuclear deal, and they're happy clappy and they're dancing in the streets, I don't think it's a good deal for us. In regards to a Trump-Cruz ticket, man, I don't know. Obviously, intellectually and from a constitutional standpoint, Ted Cruz trumps Donald Trump. So maybe I doubt that would go down.
Okay.
I actually think Trump's going to bow and Ted Cruz is going to take his place. But Elizabeth Warren as Joe Biden's VP, isn't this Pocahontas who said she was an Indian to get into graduate school or some nonsense like that, and then lo and behold, she's not an Indian, but she thought she was an Indian? It's crack night in the ferret hut, Perry. It's crazy time for the DNC.
All right, let me take a break. We'll come back. I want to get into your two books. First of all, let me tell our viewers and listeners two websites you can go to: clashdaily.com, clashdaily.com, or raisingclassickids.com. Those are Doug's two websites, raisingclassickids.com and clashdaily.com. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Okay, we're back, and our special guest today is Doug Giles. He's the founder and editor of clashdaily.com. He's the author of two great books we want to talk to him about: Raising Righteous and Rowdy Girls and Raising Boys Feminists Will Hate. And a picture of the books there on the screen. Check it out at the bookstores. First of all, Doug, tell us about clashdaily.com. What do you do there, and what can people get there?
Yeah, Clash Daily is a mosh pit, Perry, of breaking news, edgy opinion from a Judeo-Christian worldview, and we're unapologetic about it. We defend that Western infrastructure with great zeal and an irreverent sense of humor, for sure. Okay,
and then raisingclassickids.com. What's that? Yeah.
And we've had, because we get a lot of people saying, how can you as a Christian pop off like that to political folks and cultural crud dealers and still have a relationship with Jesus? Well, I look at it this way, Perry. You look at Elijah. You look at the way that Apostle Paul, John the Baptist, and Jesus himself, when they interface with impenitent priests and politicos, they let them have it right between the eyes, and it's resounding with the public. We did 100 million page views in the last 2.5 years.
Wow, good for you. ClashDaily.com. All right, what's at RaisingClassicKids.com? What's that site all about?
Yeah, it's a little book site that I have for my books on raising kids that won't become part of the cultural chum slick, and it features my book Raising Righteous and Rowdy Girls, which is a bestseller on Amazon for 9 months, #2 in parenting, which is funny coming from this redneck who used to be a drug dealer many moons ago. And it also has my book, Raising Boys Feminists Will Hate. I know if I had a son, I've got a grandson now, but if I had a son and I was looking at this dandy culture full of metrosexuals who wear women's jeans and might morph into Bruce Jenner, transgender type weirdness, I would want to do 3 things: keep them away from pop culture, keep them out of public schools, and Perry, this is going to hurt some of your Christian audience, I'd keep them away from a lot of evangelical churches that seek to neuter or otherwise marginalize their masculine qualities that God hardwired them with.
Wow. I want to go down that road. I really do, because I think it touched a nerve there, because well, I better be careful here myself, but let's jump over to Raising Boys Feminists Will Hate. I would assume that you're dealing with this subject in that book.
Oh, yeah. No, like with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer. It's not a long book. It's only 60 pages because boys aren't that complicated. But like I said, in describing the website that they can go to and get these books, raisingclassickids.com, is that we're dealing with what's called misandry or man-hatred in this culture that is on steroids. If your boy has natural, again, God-given masculine traits like being the provider, the protector, the hunter, the hero, the guy who wants to lead, then they're going to seek to drug or discipline that behavior out of him. If you don't believe me, just look at the public school systems. Look at the effete branches of evangelicalism. We think that Jesus was a soft-focused, bearded lady who traipsed around like Garrison Keillor, spitting out aphorisms. When he was a 33-year-old rebel when he died, who was a carpenter before there was power tools and Home Depot, who solicited 12 rough-cussing fishermen who looked more like the cast on Deadliest Catch than they do these stained glass figurines that are in a lot of churches. I don't think most people understand how abrasive and how masculine Christ was, because we've got so many precious moment figurine paintings and pictures and statuettes of this big doe-eyed kind of hippie Christ. And I don't know, man, when I read my Bible, and I don't know if I'm looking at it through testosterone eyes, but I see a Galilean rebel who offended everybody to the core, so much so that I believe in the movie they ended up killing him.
Wow. How do you mix masculinity and humility, excuse me?
Yeah, I mean, all of the biblical virtues and stuff, they it's a kind of a Kim Saw kind of a yin and yang. Yeah, you're supposed to be merciful, but you're also supposed to have righteous standards. Yeah, you're supposed to be gracious, but at the same time, crud is crud no matter how you frame it. And so I like the kind of dynamic tensions that are involved in the scripture, because, God's not one-faceted. He's multifaceted. So, yeah, is he repentant and gracious with somebody, is he gracious and merciful with somebody who's repentant no matter what they've come out of or currently in? You bet. But if you're going to all of a sudden start being hypocritical, two-faced, living a duplicitous life, then you better brace yourself, because he's going to stick his football helmet right in the solar plex for sure.
I've been hearing and I'm going to try to paraphrase this, but a lot of men are starting to say what you are saying, and that is that we have feminized the church. That's a big statement. It's loaded. But yeah. I think I begin to understand what they're talking about. Men are not comfortable in church. Anyway, I'm going to get a lot of emails. Why don't you pick it up and bail me out?
Yeah, and you're spot on. Men who want to be men don't think, I think I'm going to start going to church more often. They don't, because they equate Christianity with emasculation. And men, more than anything, want to be men. And I lay the blame at the feet of Bernard of Clairvaux in the 12th century, when he introduced this bridal mysticism into his liturgies and to his songs. He was like the Benny Hinn of the 12th century. And then you had the advent of the Industrial Revolution, which secularized the Sabbath. And then you have, on top of that, you have the temperance movement, which made wine and beer all of a sudden the unpardonable sin, when the church held the wine and the beer recipes for centuries. And then you get all of a sudden, the rapture into the world craziness, and you blend that all together, and the men just said adios. From a demographic standpoint, they split, and you can look at it from the 12th century forward, where men said, we're not into this kind of stuff. And the women became the ones who groomed and led the families into their spiritual journey. And it was absent of, again, the God-wired testosterone fog that he created men to be in. And in Isaiah 3, Perry, Isaiah said that God's going to curse his people for turning their backs on him. And he didn't do it with tumors or frogs or hemorrhoids or anything like that. He did it by removing male leadership from Israel and letting women and capricious men rule in their stead. And I'm telling you what, when the church is absent from masculine leadership, I'm not talking about Mr. Roger type leadership, but more kind of a sanctified Clint Eastwood, John Wayne, old school type masculine traits of provider, protector, hunter, and hero, then it's just a matter of time before the enemy floods the sanctuary and dilapidates the nation where that weak, pathetic, effeminate church resides. And that's what's going down right now in the United States of effeminate America.
Wow. Because some churches are trying to pacify that need by just having a men's group, and they're finding out that men's don't even come to a men's group. Yeah,
because it's pathetic normally. They usually have guys sitting around in a circle. It's kind of like a sad, lonely hearts club where they talk about how sad and pathetic their lives are, and then they go to the next guy, and then you just want to smack yourself in the face with a sledgehammer after being at one of these things. Look, guys are simple. They want to slay a dragon. They want to save a nation. They want to focus on mondo issues instead of this macro nonsense. They don't care about the color of the carpet. They don't want a floral display in front of the pulpit. These guys want to throttle the enemy. And if a church can get hip to getting them into risk-taking missions, fact-based initiatives where they can see tangible results, they'll be a church like stink on a monkey. But if you make it this touchy-feely, get in touch with your feminine side, tell us something that makes you weep, read an entry from your journal, I'm out of there. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go hunt and I'm going to go fish, because according to the psalmist in Psalm 23, David said, God restores my soul in green pastures and next to still waters. And I'm afraid that's not in the sanctuary, the overly effeminate evangelical sanctuary of the ultra weird 21st century.
All right, so you have two daughters. I would assume that your son-in-law probably is the president of the Male Chauvinist Society.
Yeah, but it's funny because everybody like, oh, Doug, you don't like women and stuff. My daughters are, my oldest daughter, very famous. She's the girl that destroyed Acorn, Perry, with her undercover videos where she played the prostitute and went in there and got home loans for whorehouses for underage sex slaves from El Salvador. And when that little revelation hit Fox News via Beck and O'Reilly and Hannity, and then went crazy through Jay Leno and Jon Stewart and South Park, all of a sudden, the only time that there's been a unanimous bipartisan vote in Obama's feted 2 terms was for the defunding of Acorn based on my daughter's undercover videos. And Perry, guess what? That saved us $8.5 billion. My other daughter is Regis Giles. She's a Second Amendment activist, huntress, the only black belt in the Gracie Valenti Jiu-Jitsu Academy worldwide. And she runs girlsjustwannahaveguns.com. And she's a frequent guest on Fox and CNN and nationally syndicated radio shows. So I believe, with all that said, in the alpha female, I believe that they're to be respected. What I'm saying in regards to, the other stuff about men is that men in the 21st century have been tried to be effectively marginalized in these effeminate ghettos. And the guys are traipsing in that direction. Speaking of my son-in-law, he's definitely a great alpha male, and I'm proud to call him my son. That's
wonderful. Well, Doug, you're an inspiration and delight. By the way, I have interviewed your younger daughter. She's terrific. She's terrific. Well, listen, the books are titled, let me just tell our viewers and listeners, the books are titled, you got 2 of them out, Raising Righteous and Rowdy Girls. And then the other one, the latest one, is Raising Boys Feminists Will Hate. There's a picture up there on the screen. You may want to check it out. 2 websites, raisingclassickids.com or clashdaily.com is also his website that deals with all all the issues of the day. Doug, thanks. Let's hook up again. Keep up the good work, my friend.
You bet. Thanks, Perry. Stay rowdy.
God bless. All right, we'll be right back.